Nah, don't disrespect me on my life. No, man. It's okay. You want this little boy, don't disrespect me, bro. No. Who the this guy? No. It's good.
Despite nearly getting into a full wild brawl last time, Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois met again at the airport and things did not go well. Both fighters are set for a fight in September. Let's take a look.
This was the moment Anthony Joshua jumped on stage with old school hip-hop group, So Solid Crew. What did you think of his skills on the mic?
Give me some more time. 29.
Something truly unbelievable happened at an airport where both Daniel Dubois and Anthony Joshua arrived at the same time. At first, both fighters just gave each other weird looks, but then they started speaking and throwing shots at each other. Not long after, like in the video we've seen before where Joshua nearly threw a chair at Dubois, things started going chaotic. Not only that, but even people started gathering, and it was a full-on brawl. Dubois was forced to flee a mad airport full of people screaming, fainting, and fighting after the incident took place. As per reports,
Nah, don't disrespect me on my life. No, man. It's okay. You want this little boy, don't disrespect me, bro. No. Who the this guy? No. It's good.
Anthony Joshua's team also criticized Daniel Dubois for supposedly not enrolling in voluntary drug testing ahead of their upcoming fight. Joshua will challenge Dubois for the IBF heavyweight title on September 21st at Wembley. Joshua's management team claimed that Dubois has not yet signed up for testing with the Voluntary Anti-Doping Association via day. They expressed their concerns on social media, questioning why Dubois hasn't enrolled in response. Queensbury Promotions assure that Dubois is enrolled, and VA Day will confirm it. Dubois underwent VETA testing before his fight against Alexander Usyk last August. Many fighters in major bouts opt for random VETA testing, paying for it themselves to ensure additional scrutiny as some athletic commissions and sanctioning bodies can't afford multiple random tests during training camps. Both Joshua and Dubois will also be subject to random drug testing by the UK Anti-Doping Agency. Neither fighter has ever broken anti-doping rules. Joshua, who has willingly entered VETA testing multiple times throughout his career, recently enrolled in their program ahead of his fight with former UFC heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou. Joshua has been vocal about the need for tighter drug testing after his rival David White tested positive for a banned substance last August. Joshua emphasized the importance of rigorous drug testing, mentioning that he has been submitting his whereabouts for random tests since 2011 and questioned why a significant percentage of boxes aren't subjected to the same level of scrutiny. He believes top-tier promoters should make random testing mandatory for their fighters. The upcoming fight between Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois is set to be the biggest boxing event in the UK this year. Both fighters hail from London, and the match brings together rival producers Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren, adding an extra layer of excitement. Warren recently outperformed Hearn in a series of 5 fights, winning all of them. Hearn promotes Joshua, while Warren promotes Dubois, making the fight's build-up highly anticipated. Joshua, with a record of 28 wins, 3 losses, and 25 knockouts, has made a strong comeback after losing to consecutive decisions to Alexander Usyk in 2021 and 2022. He has since secured stoppage wins over Robert Helenius and Otto Wallin and delivered a brutal 2-round knockout of former UFC champion Francis Ngannou in October. Joshua is currently one of the most aggressive heavyweights in the sport, although Usyk defeated and Fury to become the undisputed champion in May. He has not shown the same knockout power as Joshua in his recent fights. Joshua's knockout of Francis Ngannou, in which he knocked Ngannou down 3 times with his right hand before winning a second-round KO, was a highlight of his career. This fight is important for Joshua because he wants to compete for all the belts against the winner of the Usyk-Fury rematch scheduled for December 21st in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Joshua is expected to be the favorite when he faces Dubois, who was recently promoted to full champion by the IBF. However, the fight could be risky for Joshua if he plays it too safe. After his first career loss to Andy Ruiz Jr. in 2019, Joshua was very cautious in their rematch, which he won by decision. Later that year, he kept his distance and avoided taking any big risks. Similarly, his fight against Jordan Franklin in March last year after 2 losses to Alexander Usyk was also a bit underwhelming. People wondered if Joshua had changed and if he would ever be the powerful puncher he once was. Joshua, now 34, has since shown that he still has his aggressive style, but Dubois, at 26, is a serious threat. Dubois has a record of 21 wins, 2 losses, and 20 knockouts. He recently defeated Filip Hrgovic by causing cuts in round 8, winning his second world title shot after losing to Usyk by knockout in Poland last August. Dubois claims he knocked Usyk down earlier in the fight, but it was ruled a low blow. He was stopped by a jab from Joe Joyce in round 10 in 2020 and knocked down by Kevin Lerena in round 1 in 2022, but his punching power won him those fights. He also beat Gerald Big Baby Miller, who weighed 333 pounds in December. Joshua watched Dubois fight with Filip Hrgovic from ringside to see what he could exploit. Hrgovic repeatedly hit Dubois with his right hand, which should give Joshua faith. Joshua knocked out Francis Ngannou with a right hand, and if Dubois leaves himself open like he did against Hrgovic, he will be in trouble. Joshua hits much harder than Filip Hrgovic, and if he fights like he did in his last match reminiscent of his late stoppage win over Vladimir Klitschko in 2017 at Wembley Stadium, then September 21st could be another great moment in his revitalized career for Daniel Dubois to have a chance. He'll likely need to keep a high pace against Joshua. This strategy worked well for him against Hrgovic, whom he was dominating before the stoppage. A high tempo would limit Joshua's chances to plant his feet and land powerful shots if Joshua is cautious and hesitant to engage like he was against Franklin, and in his rematch with Andy Ruiz Jr. Dubois will have more opportunities to stay on the offensive and land his damaging punches. Dubois's team will remember that Ruiz managed to stop Joshua, and they'll likely use that as motivation. However, as we saw in Dubois's fight with Hrgovic, he can leave himself open. Joshua, a former champion, will likely take advantage of these openings for another incredible finish. Johnny Fisher, the Southern Area champion who has sparred with Dubois, thinks the fight won't go the distance. He thinks Dubois will bring aggressive, calculated pressure but acknowledges that Joshua's counter right hand is a major threat. Pfizer favors Joshua for his experience and tactical advantage but admits Dubois' power makes him a dangerous opponent. Pfizer himself is preparing for a tough fight against Alan Bobic at the Copper Box Arena in London. A strong performance could position him for a British title fight against Fabio Wardley or Fraser Clark. Fisher respects both fighters and sees promise for his career to progress. Beyond just being a ticket seller to possibly winning English, British, or even European titles, Dubois, confident in his abilities, sees the fight with Joshua as his chance to achieve greatness. The build-up to this fight involving rival promoters Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren promises to be lively, making it one of the most exciting events in British boxing this year. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments below.